Hello, hello, hello. All right, guys, I was trying to use a different camera because I feel like the camera on here isn't that great, but it wasn't working. So maybe next time. I wanted to make sure that I got on here at 4:16 because there is significance. Hi, Gwen. I don't know if anybody saw when I posted this or heard when I talked about the number 16 and the significance that it has. So I will talk about that really quickly once people hop on here. And I know a couple of people said they couldn't make it live, which is fine. I'm messing around with my lighting. Oh my God, that's so bright. So bright. Don't need that. All right, it's a little bit better. Hi, Christine Lucan. Christine, you're like right here in my face. I got a card from Christine. So funny. This card is hilarious. I was like looking at your husband's face and I'm just, I'm like, he totally did not want to take this picture, Christine. You forced him. All right. Hi, Karen. All right. We are here. So I want to talk really quickly about the number 16. And I'm just going to read what I found and why I decided to start this on the 16th, why it's 16 days long, the significance of that, and then we'll get started. Today is going to be a hard one. I always love to do this to my clients, not in a bad way, but I always like to just boom, go right in. Like a lot of times in courses, there's like kind of like a gradual buildup, of, okay, we're going to do this first and that's going to build and then we'll get into the deeper stuff. And we're just hitting it home today with the deeper stuff because I want you guys to have just such an incredible transformation over the next 16 days and really for the rest of your life and be able to kind of also do this over and over again. So we're diving right in with the deep stuff and the good stuff. And the other thing that I want you guys to know is that I'm going to be doing this with you because there's certain parts of my life that I still am struggling with and I still want to like go to the next level with. So, I want you guys to know that as well, is that, everything that I'm sharing with you, teaching, training, all the homework, all of that stuff, I'm going to be doing the same exact thing because I want to get to my next level too. And I feel also that like, there's multiple next levels. Like this is not like you're going to reach a destination. It is, what is the next level for you now? Right? Because once you hit that next level, then there's just going to be a next one and a next one and a next one, right? And so I really want you to have the tools and the courage and the power and the strength to be able to always keep evolving, to keep going to that next level and not letting certain things block you and get in your way. Obviously, life happens and shit happens, and you'll have the tools on like how to deal with that. But that's, really the place that I want you to be in. It's just in such a powerful place that it's just like literal night and day between who you are right now today and who you're going to be on January 1st. So let me talk about the number 16. I'm going to read the little passage that I got. And I was like, holy shit, this is it, right? And so also I know this is not like specifically a business program, but this is kind of the stuff that I do when I'm thinking about like a program and putting something out there is like, I'll get these like little downloads and it could just be like a word or a number or something of significance. And then I will like research that thing and find out like, why was this thing like popped in my head? Why did this thing come so clearly and so boldly for me? And the number 16 was one of the things. So number 16 resonates with personal willpower, independence, initiative, action, and overcoming obstacles. Angel number 16 is a reminder from your angels that your thoughts create your reality. Therefore, ensure that you hold only positive expectations about your life, lifestyle, and material issues. So as soon as I read that passage, I was like, all right, that's it. We're doing this. It's going to be 16 days. And that was a download that I got. So I want to start first by kind of like touching on the pre-work really quickly before we get into the deep stuff. So what I want to know from you guys too is like two questions. The first one is Like, what do you hope to get out of this program? Because I want to make sure that you get it. So what do you hope to get most out of this program? And then number 2, which was the pre-work for yesterday, which is, why is the time now, right? Because I know for myself and in my personal experience that I've made lots of promises to myself for different things, whether it be financial goals or weight loss goals or like different things that I step back on, and I like, it's like I never happened. It's like I never said it, right? And that's the kind of stuff we're going to be shifting. So I want to know why now, like why now is the time where you're really going to commit to making a massive change and shift in your life, in your business, in your finances, in your health, all of that stuff. Christine says, yes, that was spot on. It's an upward spiral. Exactly. So 2 questions. What do you want to get most out of the next 16 days? And the second question is, why now? Like, why does it matter so much right now? I mean, obviously, we can talk about the new year and the new decade and, all of that stuff. But really, there's got to be a deeper purpose. That's one of the things that I've realized is without a deeper reason or meaning for doing what you're doing or wanting to make a change, it's very hard to make that change because we've gotten so accustomed and so used to just whatever is right now, right? We've gotten so used to it, even if it doesn't feel like that great, even if it doesn't feel like this is exactly what I want, it's comfy. It feels good to have certainty, even if that certainty isn't the next level thing that we want or that next level desire. So, why now? Why is now the time? Oh, Sophia's here. Why is now the time to commit to change, I should say? Not just to change, but to commit to the change. Is there, something that's going on in your life, something that's going on in your business? Are you just sick and tired of being in a cycle? Do you just feel ready to take on a new you and take on some really powerful things that you were put on this earth for, your purpose? All right, I don't see any comments yet. I will wait for that because I really want to hear that from you guys before I dive into what we're doing today, because the 2 things that we're doing today that feeds into that. So your vision and what you desire and what you want and why now is going to be feeding into what we do today and what we do for the next 16 days, right? Karen says, now, because the pain of staying the same is worse than the discomfort of growing and changing, stepping into the next level. There are so many people who are depending on me, and I feel like my success is truly a duty to myself and to my family. I'm ready to know what it would be like if I truly go for it. I love that. And I would love, switch the perspective on that, Karen. Like, now, because the pain of staying is the same, staying the same is worse than the discomfort of growing and changing. But what if it wasn't uncomfortable? Like, how do you even know it's uncomfortable, right? Like, I think we just put that in our head, like, oh, this is gonna suck, or this is gonna be uncomfortable, or this is gonna be whatever. So I love that. I love that people are depending on you, and now's your time. I really feel like the people who said yes to this, like, it was such a short launch, it was such a quick thing that I put out there that was on my heart and my soul, that the people who said yes were the people who were just like, I'm ready and I'm ready now, right? Sophia says, why now? I want financial stability and foundations for my family. I want to get out of the money overwhelm, move into a new home I deserve, and really feel the impact I'm making on the world. I am done playing small and squishing myself. Ooh, we're going to talk about that. We will for sure talk about that in this program, Sophia. Karen says, so true. I don't know, but sometimes you're right. The not knowing is uncomfortable. Certainty, even if it sucks, is more comfortable than being uncertain and not knowing, right? It's crazy. It's a mind fuck. Gwen says, I have hit the point of no longer being willing to tolerate the things that aren't working for me in my business, personal lifestyle, etc. About 80% of my life is pretty awesome. So the areas I have been tolerating less than are glaringly obvious, and it is no longer something that I can turn a blind eye to. Yes, I love it. Christine says, I want to have a shift in how I feel about myself and step into my power and own it. Why now? Because I feel like I have been on the edge of something huge for a while now, and I'm tired of fucking waiting for it. It's time to take new ground and impact the masses. So here's the thing. We're going to dive deeper in the future days on really like claiming the power. But I want to mention this because you mentioned this, Christine. It's like, nobody is going to like go around, right, and hand us an award or hand us a certificate that's like, hey, Christine, you can now be the queen of the internet, right? It's okay for you now to be the best financial expert online. Like, nobody's going to give that to us. We have to claim it. We have to claim it for ourselves. And that's going to be the shift. That is going to be the thing that really, like, once that hits, once you like really understand that and you make the decision that like, hey, nobody's going to come and save me. Like, nobody's going to come and like give me this. I have to own it. I have to claim it. I have to be the one that stands in my power and makes this happen. So like I said, we'll be diving deeper into that in one of the future days. That's one of the topics. But for today, we're going to be diving deep into something that changed my life really when I did it the first time. And I've done it a couple of times after that, but there's always been like a huge resistance to it. And the resistance probably came because I know that it's going to change my life. And so with any of the exercises that we do, with any of the teaching and lessons that we go through, you probably will feel resistance. So I want you guys to know that that's probably going to come up, and it's okay. And it's normal. And I want you to, as much as possible, push through that resistance and remind yourself why you signed up for this program. Remind yourself of the things that you just told me of why now, right? Because it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be so powerful and life-changing once you can actually do it. And really quickly, I want to just confirm like how this is going down. So we have 12 lessons that are going to happen over the next 16 days. So during those, we'll have 2 catch-up days, and then 2 days where we don't have anything at all. And the 2 days where we don't have anything at all are going to be Christmas Eve and Christmas. Then we're going to have 2 catch-up days, one this week and one next week. So that way, if you're not able to watch these live, and not everything will be live, most of them will be live, but some of them might just be like a recording or something like that. But I'll have those catch-up days in there so that you guys can catch up. I'm going to try to keep the trainings to about 45 minutes because I know it's long. But there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to do. If you've taken any of my other courses where I've kind of done like the mini lessons, where it's like a 10-minute lesson, this is going way deeper into that. So it's going to be a little bit longer. So just wanted to let you guys know what to expect. And how things are going to go down in this group. Karen says, what I want to get out of the program is truly shifting my beliefs and pushing myself to do all the things that I want to do, push through all of my fears, doubts, worries, and embody the person I need to be to achieve all great things I want to do. I love it. You know what's great too, guys? Like, I always have the marketing brain on, right? But what's great about this is you guys all just gave me copy that I can use to like promote this program again if I want to do it. So like just another little tidbit I'm throwing in there for you guys that are in business. If you're ever doing any kind of like training or live stream, ask really good questions and your people will give you the answer, and you can use that stuff to market your business, promote your business. And really, this is what I talk about when I say like using your clients' words. But thank you so much for being vulnerable and for sharing. And I'm glad that you're here. You're in the right place. You're in the perfect place. So let's dive into today's lesson. So I don't know how many of you guys got a chance to get the email that I sent out, but I wanted it to be an email, or I wanted it to be a secret as to what we're doing today. And the reason why I kind of wanted it to be a secret is because it's definitely one of the most powerful exercises that I've ever done in my life. And once I was able to do this, everything changed for me. And I want to bring that to you. And so what I titled today's lesson was excavation. So we all know what excavation is, right? It's like we're digging something deep, we're digging. And that's what we're going to do today. And today is all about excavating and also doing forgiveness work. So this is probably the hardest work, because when you do forgiveness, you are essentially, I don't want to say taking the blame, but you are taking responsibility for the things that have happened in your life. Whether someone did something to you, whether it's an experience that you've had, whether it's something that you did yourself. When you really honor the practice of forgiveness and really dive deep into it, that's essentially what it's about, right? It's about saying, you know what? I honor and I take responsibility for my part in what happened. Because the reason most of us are where we're at, are stuck, are plateaued, are unable to move forward. And even though we can see what we want, like we can physically see it and it's like right there, but we just can't get to it, is because we have so much junk and stuff that we're holding on to from our past lives, and not meaning actual past lives, but like, you know, for me, when I was in my 20s, that was like a past life, right? When I was a teenager, that was a past life, right? So we're holding on to all of these things, all of these realities that we've experienced in those years, right? I mean, in decades, right? Decades of not just our own shit and the things that we did wrong, but also things that other people did to us, stories that other people have given us that we have taken on, and they become heavy. And once we do the exercises we're going to do today, you're going to feel light, because you're going to feel like the weight of the world and the weight of everybody else's stuff has finally been lifted. We're also going to do some forgiveness around ourselves, because I, for one, know that there's things like the person I was a decade ago, and it's so funny to like think about, like, we're going into a new decade. Even the person I was 6 years ago, 7 years ago, before I really got on this professional development journey, it was a completely different person. I looked different. I acted different. Everything about my life was completely different. My thought processes were different. My beliefs were different. My values were different. Everything was so different just 6 years ago, just 7 years ago. But what I found in the beginning of this journey was that I kept getting stuck because I was holding on to things that I did, or, relationships that I had, or experiences that I had, that I wasn't necessarily proud of. And I kept it while I was trying to grow. So it stopped me from really growing and going all the way, which is why when I talk about this exercise today, you'll see how powerful it really is. So we're going to be doing forgiveness for other people. We're going to be doing forgiveness for ourselves, because guilt, fear, not so much. Guilt, shame, and regret. Guilt, shame, and regret are they're a repellent for all the things that we want. So if there's anywhere in you, in your heart, in your soul, in your mind, thinking about past things that you've done, past experiences, maybe you're holding a grudge against somebody, guilt, shame, and regret are like the worst emotions to have if you're trying to grow, and also if you're trying to manifest. So what we're going to be doing today is how do we get rid of that? So can you guys share with me if there's anything that like immediately comes to your mind that either you still think about, that you're still holding a grudge on, whether it's with somebody else, maybe it's something that you did that you don't feel worthy of, or that you feel like that you regret, anything like that. I would love for you guys to share, like, just the first thing that came into your mind. And remember, we're going to be doing excavating, so it's not just going to be about the first thing that came into your mind, but I'm just curious to know, like, is there something that immediately comes to your mind when you think about shame, not fear, I keep saying fear, shame, guilt, and regret? Is there anything that immediately comes to mind? So for me, one of the things that I've always regretted, and kind of kept that out, like, still, even recently, like, I feel like I've pretty much gotten over it, but there's still a little bit still there. And so doing this work with you guys, I'm going to be doing all the exercises as well. I'm hoping to finally, like, diminish that. But one of the things was around my divorce. And even though I know that I would not be where I am today if I was still married, I would not have the success that I have. I would not have the life that I have. I wouldn't be able to provide for my son the way that I can if I was still in the marriage. There was still a lot of love there. So there was always like these parts of me that was like, oh, did I make the wrong decision? Right. And so there was a lot of regret. There's a lot of guilt, not having my son's father. I mean, even though we get along great and we co-parent great, I mean, I'm sure that my son would be so happy if he had his dad here, and so it's like this guilt for that and the regret of like, oh, what if we were still together? What if we were still married? And did I make the right decision? So I held on to that for a really long time. And it's been like 6.5 years now. But it's like, it's stuff like that, right? It's like, oh, that doesn't have to do with business. That doesn't have to do with manifesting. That doesn't have to do with anything. Yes, it does. Because there's a part of you when you have guilt, shame, or regret that feels unworthy. That feels like I don't deserve this, right? Christine says, yes, shame and guilt are the worst. Sometimes I feel guilty that my husband has had to pull more financial weight over the past year. Gwen says, guilt and regret with my ex-husband. Same thing with me, Gwen. And so those are the kinds of things that I want you guys to think about. I didn't get into the exercise yet, which I will be doing. But those are the kinds of things I want you guys to think about. I want you to think about not the obvious things, or like Gwen said, the glaringly obvious things, right? Because there are things that are very obvious that it's like, oh shit, yes, I know that affects me, right? Like maybe there's some turmoil in your household, or something's going on with your kids, or your coaching business isn't doing that great, or financial things are happening. And those are the obvious things, right? And it's like, of course that's going to affect you. But the real things, like the reason why these things are perpetuating, the reason why these things are like happening over and over again is because of all the hidden stuff, which is why today we're going to be excavating that stuff. Karen has guilt around her divorce also. See? So for today, I'm going to give you the exercise and then we'll talk a little bit more. When I was writing down, like planning out this whole thing for you guys, one of the things that I always journal about is I always journal, I am forgiven, healed, and free. I am forgiven, healed, and free. So that is one of the things that I journal about. If you guys want to also journal that, that would be, it's just one of my affirmations here. I am forgiven, healed, and free. Because I feel like once we are truly forgiven and we've also truly forgiven other people, we can be free, right? So today, as part of your homework and your exercise, is I want you guys to think of literally every place in your life, every memory, every story, from when you were a child to when you were a teenager to when you were in your 20s to all the way up to this year, all the way up till today, that has created some sort of burden or trauma or shame or guilt or fear or anything. Specifically around money makes sense also, if you want to go there. And sometimes it may just be specifically around a relationship. Maybe it's something that's going on with your parents. Maybe it's, you still haven't forgiven your parents for something that they did when you were young. Maybe it's that you still haven't forgiven your ex-husband for leaving or something that he's done. So I want you to think of this in two parts. First, I want you to go all the way. This is going to be tough. You will probably have pages and pages and pages of things, all the way from as far back as you can remember, all the way up until today. And I want you to think both about situations or circumstances that involved other people. And then I also want you to think about things that you've done yourself. And don't worry, guys, you don't have to share this or anything, but also think of think of things that you've done yourself, even if it was something you did as a teenager. Like maybe you snuck out of the house and like, went to a party and did drugs or something. And you just always think about like, oh my God, I wish I didn't do that, right? It's like something so silly, but if it still has a charge, if it still has like this energetic meaning somewhere in there, we want to clean it up. So anything that has to do in particular with someone else, a situation, a circumstance, a fight, anything that may have happened with other people, and then also with yourself. I'm forgiven, healed, and free is the place that I want you to really, I want you to feel that, and I want you to really know that by the end of this exercise. Now, I also want to let you know that this exercise might take more than a day. I've done this with people before, and I've had people that have had hundreds of things covertly fucking with their mindset and their energy and their deep-seated issues, problems, traumas, all of that stuff. So what's funny is here's what I was thinking of, like therapy, right? Like, so say we go to therapy, like most people that I know that have been in therapy for years. Like I know someone who's been in therapy for 10 years, right? And this is why with Reclamation in this program, it's going to happen fast, right? We're going to do it fast. We're going to get down and dirty with what's really happening here and what's really stopping us and the real meat of why things are the way they are. So like I said, it may take pages and pages of notes. It may take days for you to fully go through this. And I haven't even given you the exercise first. Yeah, I'm just telling you what we're going to go through. Sophia says, I feel so guilty that I'm not pulling my weight financially in our house these days, even though I'm so pulling way more than my weight in other ways. Christine says, sometimes I feel selfish that I'm pursuing my dream career. My husband has to go to the salt mine every day. So these are all the things I want you to be thinking about, the covert things and the obvious things, right? Because it's all affecting us in different ways all the time, every day. Our value, our worth, we're questioning ourselves, we're doubting ourselves, we're regretting, we're feeling guilty about things that we shouldn't even feel guilty about. Christine says, oh my God, I just remembered that I used to steal fancy eyeliner from the drugstore when I was with my ex. Sophia says, totes, especially since my man has a creative career too that is on hold while I have my turn. I want to be able to step up and make this work so that he can have his turn too. And it will. It will. As soon as, when you guys commit and you realize, right? So it's like, these are the things that we don't really think about on a day-to-day basis. I mean, you're not thinking about how you used to steal eyeliner, right? Like you're not thinking about that, but there's probably a part of you that's like, oh my God, I'm unworthy of this, because like one of the things that I had in the beginning of my business was I did this thing with a book publisher, and it was at the very, like this was even before my coaching career took off. And like, I didn't have money to continue to pay for it. And like, now I'm like super like, I've never late on my payments. I always make my payments. I always make it like this thing. But in the beginning, like before I paid it off, I had so much guilt and shame around not being able to pay it off in the very beginning, or like not having the money to do it. And I brought that in, now that's taken care of. And so it doesn't have to affect me anymore, but it did at some point because it was like an unresolved thing that was happening there. So that's another word. Is there anything unresolved? Is there anything unresolved that you feel like is also hindering or creating some kind of guilt or shame or regret in your life? Okay, so now I'm going to give you the exercise and then we'll talk a little bit more. So the exercise is going to be for you, number one, to write down everything. We're going to write down everything from as far back as we can remember all the way through to today. And if you've done this exercise with me before, if you've been in one of my other programs, I want you to do it again. Because if something still comes back, like say you did this exercise before and it still comes back, it means it's not completely resolved. It means it's still there, right? Because I'm sure that there's plenty of things that have happened we don't even remember. Like it's like it never happened, right? Because it's not holding any charge in our minds, in our hearts, in our souls. So write the list. That's number one. And number two is that you're going to do forgiveness for each and everything. This is why it may take a long time. Okay. So I'm going to give you actually two different things that you can do. Or if you have your own practice, you can also do your own forgiveness practice. I know some people have different forgiveness prayers. Some people do like a cord cutting, which I have two cord cutting meditations that I can put in the group as well for you that are really good. So you may want to do some kind of cord cutting for these things that are coming up. And so the two things that I do and that I did when I first did this work, which it's so funny because like I clearly remember it was so long ago, it was 5 years ago that I did this. And once I did it, it was really, really hard. But once I did it, like my business like literally blew up. And I always attribute that blow up to letting go of all of this bullshit and creating space for new things to happen. So because I've done it before, my list might not be as long today, but if something is still there, I want you to recognize it, acknowledge it, and I want you to do forgiveness. So there's two things that I do for forgiveness. If it's something that is not like super traumatic, like if it's something that's a little bit more surface level, like stealing the eyeliner, right? Because that didn't really hurt anybody, right? Well, maybe it did, right? But you know, if it's something like small, right? You can do exactly what Christine says. Oh, I'm sorry. Ho'oponopono, which is the Hawaiian forgiveness practice. And it's super simple. So as you go through each one of your events or circumstances or whatever it is that you've gone through, the prayer is, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And what that prayer does is exactly what I was saying before. Like it is you taking radical responsibility for the thing that happened, whether it's something that you did or whether it's something that someone did to you. You are acknowledging your part in that process. You're forgiving that person. You're forgiving yourself. And you're thanking that person for the part that they played. So it's, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. So for the smaller things or the things you feel like I can easily, be done with this thing, do that. For the other thing, or if there's things that are bigger, so if it has something to do with a relationship, with your ex-husband, with something with your parents. I know when I first did this, there was about 5 major things that I needed to clear. And I'm going to give you a second exercise on what to do with the major things. So this is another reason why it might take a little bit longer if you have a lot of trauma, if you have a lot of things that need to happen. So the next one is to write a letter. And what you're doing in that letter is you are first thanking that person for whatever happened in the relationship or whatever happened. What it could even be a coaching relationship. It could be something that happened, when you first started your business. It could be a financial matter. It could be whatever. So whatever that is, you're going to write a letter. You're going to acknowledge what has happened. You're going to thank the person for the role that they played. You're also going to write why it's good that things didn't happen the way you thought they would. So for example, if it has to do with a relationship or something with finances, you're going to acknowledge why it was okay that things didn't happen the way that you wanted them to. And then you're going to end it. You're going to close the door, close the chapter. And what you do when you have that letter, like I had my letter, this is a Post-it note, not a letter. All right, we'll do a letter. I had my letter. And once you've written everything down, the letter shouldn't be that long. Like they should just be a few paragraphs long. So you're going to acknowledge, you're going to thank, you're going to say why it was a good thing that things didn't happen that way, and you're going to forgive. Once you've done that, you're going to close your eyes and you're going to imagine that whatever this person was or the situation was is on the other side of a door. And you're going to close the door. And not only are you going to close the door, but you're going to, in your mind's eye, see some sort of, like when I did mine was like a glitter glue. But some kind of glue or sealant or something that's actually going to seal that door closed. So we don't just want to close the door, right? Because the door could easily swing back open, right? And affect us again. So as you're doing this like little meditation, you see the door, you see the thing or the person or the situation or whatever it is on the other side of the door. I want you to close the door and I want you to seal the door. Like I said, when I did mine, it was like glitter glue that I sealed the entire door with. And then you're going to do the Ho'oponopono. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And that's it. You can choose to burn the letter if you want. I kept mine. Because I did the door closing ceremony, I felt like I didn't need to burn the letter. But if you want to, some people like to do that, you can absolutely burn the letter. But those are the two practices that I want you to do, plus anything else that you maybe you have something that you already do, or the cord cutting meditations. I'll put 2 in this group that I really love. And that's what we're going to do today. Going deep and going heavy, because we need the stuff out of the way. We need to clear the bullshit so that we can start to allow the things that we actually want now to come in. Like right now, mostly the reason why you don't have what you want is because there's no room for it. Right? Like we're not who we need to be yet in order to have it, because we're carrying around this guilt. We're carrying around shame. We're carrying around regret. We're carrying around all this stuff that we're not able to receive the things that we say we want now because we're holding on. How many of you guys, I'm just curious, how many of you guys are the type of person who holds grudges? Anybody like to hold grudges? I would say I'm definitely not, but I know like for sure my mom is. And I'm surprised that I didn't get that from her. But yeah, I mean, if you cross her, like forget it. She will not speak to you for like a year. So just curious to know how many of you like carry that. Like, are you a grudge holder? Are you somebody who, you know, makes that happen? Or do you just do you easily let things go? Christine says, when we're writing our list, should it be in a separate journal from our affirmations? I usually like to have it separate, or I'll rip out the page. I don't like to mix like my good affirmations with the yucky stuff that I want to get rid of. Karen says, I had to work on it over the years. It's just useless, right? Christine says, I hold grudges against myself more than others. Karen says, I'm a Scorpio, so I always blame my nature. My son's a Scorpio, and I'm a Pisces, so we're going to get along great, Karen. Yeah, us water signs, we're sensitive, man. We got a lot of emotions. Sophia says, I had an ex who did, and it was crazy, but I would say the other side of that is that I can be too gentle with boundaries and not tell people when they've gone too far without holding the grudge. We're going to be talking about boundaries big time in this program, because that's another thing, right? It's like we allow people to overstep the boundary, but then we blame them, right? It's like, you did this to me. Again, radical responsibility is kind of the theme of this whole thing, right? Like the more radical responsibility that you have, the better and the easier it's going to be. So I wanted to mention one more thing about the exercise. As you're going through each one of the circumstances and you're doing Ho'oponopono, don't just do it once. Like I want you to do it until it feels true. Like I want you to do it until you actually have the feeling that this thing is forgiven. You may have to come back to certain things. Some things you may be able to get like that. Like some things it might be so simple and so stupid that you're just like, oh my God, this is so dumb. I'm over it. Forgiveness granted, done. Some things it might take you a few minutes. Like I remember going through certain things where I was like, oh, I do not believe this, and I had to keep doing it and really just seeing in my mind's eye the outcome that that I truly desired and what I really wanted. So some things might be very easy and you'll be able to just do it once and maybe twice. Other things you may have to do it multiple times in order to truly release it and forgive it. But yes, so this is really all about lightening the load. We're lightening the load today. We're going in deep. We're going into the stuff that's just been holding on. We've been holding on to it, right? And it's affecting our work. It's affecting our power. It's affecting how we show up in this world. It's affecting everything. And so that's why we're starting with the deep stuff. So I want to know from you guys, do you need any clarity on forgiveness in general or on the homework for today and what you'll be doing? Do you guys feel clear on what you have to do going back into the memories? Christine says, it's interesting that you talk about making room. I was just listening to a teaching by Bob Proctor who talks about removing what you don't want because there's no room for the new. He literally says to throw out your old ugly couch even before you picked up a new one. And you have to, right? I actually, it's funny, I don't even remember where I heard it. I was like listening to a podcast or listening to something, and this guy says, throw out your trash every day. Throw out your trash every day. Like, and he meant literally, like not just figuratively, but literally, like throw out your, the waste basket in your bathrooms, in your bedrooms, whatever, like throw out your trash every day. And if we could do that, right? If it's like, okay, I'm ready to get rid of this because I know it's not serving me, which is the tools that I want you guys to have. I want you guys to be in that place where it's like, yep, like this is not going to serve me to hold on to this or to feel any guilt or shame or regret around this. Like I'm ready to move forward and I know how to move forward. Christine says that's a big homework assignment. Gwen says no additional clarity needed. Karen says I'm clear on what I need to do. It is a big homework assignment. So guys, don't get, like if you have a lot of stuff, like some of you might have a little bit of stuff, some of you might have hundreds, right? So if you have a lot of stuff, don't feel like you have to get it done today or by, before tomorrow's lesson or anything like that. It might take you a couple of days. I know that because I've been through it. So at least start the process. For me, I did the easy stuff first. And then I went back and like did the letters and all of that stuff that I had to do. But really important to just like, not just do it, but do it with the powerful intention of releasing and letting go and forgiving in order to make room for all of the things that you want, all of those desires, the money, the impact, the amazing relationship, whatever it is that you want, right? The new house. We've got to purge and delete. I want to talk about just one more thing and I'll let you guys go off to do your homework. Christine says, nature abhors a vacuum. It will rush in to fill it. Ooh, have not heard that one before. Sophia says, I've started and I'm like, man, so much apologizing just to myself. So I don't want you necessarily to apologize to yourself, Sophia. I want you to just forgive, right? It's okay. That was the old you. There is a new you, right? And every day you wake up and there's a new you, right? So it makes no sense to hold on to things that are in the past, right? Gwen says, I've had the urge to purge lately. I went through my drawers and put together 3 bags to donate and feel like there's more. So this assignment is fitting. Yeah, even a physical purge can create, obviously you guys have seen that show. What's the book? The Magic Art of Tidying Up. Yeah, it's even the physical purge can create space. I don't know too much about this modality, but there is a modality on, oh God, why can't I remember what it's called? Oh, I'll have to think about what it's called, but in there, they kind of do these like mantras, and one of the mantras is about deleting and uncreating. So they talk about like whatever it is that's holding you back, and you would say, I delete and uncreate this. And I love that. It was like one of my favorite things. Access consciousness. That's what it's called. I don't know that many people that do it. I don't hear about it a whole lot, but I did study it a little bit, and it's really, really fascinating. So delete and uncreate anything that's holding you back, anything that's creating like turmoil or guilt or shame, even if it's old. We got to get rid of it, excavate it. Sophia says, for seeking external validation from men, for passing up the amazing job that would have solved all my money problems. So we think, right? Christine says it's a law of physics regarding vacuum. And a lot of sexuality stuff coming up too, which is crazy. But one of the first things I get clients to do is write a letter to their vagina, or a letter from their vagina to them with kind words, forgiveness, and anything else that needs to be said. So do the same thing for you. You may all want to do a letter to yourself, right? That's going to be a really powerful one too. Sophia says, I'm wanting to purge like crazy. Yes, and we can't just purge the physical things. We got to purge it all, especially the stuff that we can't see, because it's the stuff that we can't see that is actually affecting us. But we think it's the things that we can see, right? Just like Gwen said, like we think it's the glaringly obvious stuff. Like we think that's it, but there's a reason why we've allowed that. There's a reason why that's in our space. There's a reason why it's here in our present circumstance. It's because of all of these other things behind it. So you guys have some heavy homework to do. I do too. I'll be doing it tonight before I go to bed, and probably tomorrow morning. Forgiveness, literally everything from when you can remember up until today. And then the Ho'oponopono and writing the letter. So you won't need a letter for everything. I just want to clarify that. You'll really just need a letter for the things that are like super, super like there, right? And most likely you'll have a letter to yourself as well. So that is it, guys. I will be posting the schedule here. Sorry I didn't get it in more in advance for you guys, but I will be posting the schedule here, and everything will either be a live stream in here or an in-depth like audio training, something like that, or video. And then our first break day is going to be on Friday. Our first break day. Catch-up day will be on Friday. So you'll be able to take, everything from today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. And if you can't get to it, you can catch up Friday. We'll go all the way through to New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve. We're going to have off Christmas Eve and Christmas. We'll do 4 more days, have another catch-up day. I'm going to post the whole thing in here so you guys can see. But super excited about this work that we get to do together. And it's going to be life-changing. And I'm so, so excited for this. And I'm so grateful and thankful that you guys have trusted me to help guide you on that journey as well. Sophia says, the other day, my meditation teacher introduced the idea of closing all the tabs that are open in your brain browser. It was so freeing to sit and just imagine closing all the tabs. In particular, all the imagined futures I could picture for myself. Get in the present, yo, and quit slowing your brain down. I love that. As I have like 16 browsers or tabs open in my thing. I gotta get that down too. And you know what feels really, really good, Sophia? When you don't like just go tab by tab, but you're like, fuck it, and you close the whole window. And all the 16 tabs are just gone, right? So that's what we're going to be doing. We're getting down and dirty from day one, making it happen. There's going to be huge, dramatic transformations and shifts. And I also really want you guys to just connect in with why you said yes to this, with your intentions for the program, and your intentions and your vision for how you want things to be and who you want to be come January 1st. So that's it, my loves. I will see you back here tomorrow. I will be posting the schedule a little bit later and get to work because we got a lot of work to do. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.